Welcome to the next lecture in electrical machines. We were discussing the synchronous machines, and in this lecture we are going to discuss the alternator on loaded condition. First we will discuss the factors that are affecting the alternator size. So what are the factors that are affecting the alternator size? So generally the efficiency increases as the power increases. So as the power will increase, the efficiency will increase. So how much power will increase and how much efficiency will increase, that relationship we are going to see. So for 1 kilowatt alternator, the efficiency is 50%, whereas for a 10 megawatt alternator, the efficiency is 90%. So we can see that as the power increases, the efficiency increases. Similarly, for an alternator which is above 1000 megawatt, the efficiency is close to 99%. It means the losses reduces when the power increases. The power output per kilogram increases as the power increases. So as the efficiency, as the power of the alternator increases, then the efficiency increases and the loss decreases. So for 1 kilowatt weighs around 20 kg. So if you purchase an alternator which is giving a power output of 1 kilowatt, it will weigh around 50 kg, that is 50 watt per kg. Whereas for a 10 megawatt alternator would weigh 20,000 kg, which is yielding 500 watt per kg. So these relationships suggest the weight of the alternator with respect to the increase in the power. So what is the conclusion? Larger alternator weighs relatively less than the smaller one and are consequently cheaper. So when the efficiency of the alternator increases, the power increases. If the power increase, then obviously the weight, the relative weight will be less. So with the increase in the weight of the alternator, that is larger, the weight relatively lesser. Now there is one problem, that is cooling. So if the size increases, the cooling problem will be there because high power loss per unit surface area will be there. So this restrict the larger alternator. So as the alternator become larger, obviously the problem of cooling will be there. Now effective cooling system require more cost, and it sets the upper limit of the size of the alternator. So when the cost of the alternator will increase, when the cooling system will increase. So this will set the upper limit of the size of the alternator. Now for a 50 megawatt alternator, cold air cooling is sufficient, whereas when we go for 50 to 300 megawatt alternator, we require hydrogen cooling. If we go 1000 megawatt alternator, then hollow water cooled conductors are required for the cooling purpose. This suggests that as the size of the alternator increases or the power increases, we require effective cooling system which will increase the cost of the alternator. Low speed alternator are bigger than high speed alternator of the same power. So if an alternator is running at low speed, it will be bigger in size. Whereas if the alternator speed is higher for the same power, its size will be less as compared to low speed alternator. So next topic that we are taking is alternator on loaded condition. So we have studied the DC generator. So as the DC generator, when the load will vary, the terminal voltage will vary due to various voltage drops that are associated with the alternator. So what are the voltage drop that are there in the alternator that we are going to discuss? So the voltage drop can be due to the armature resistance, the voltage drop can be due to the armature leakage reactance, and the voltage drop can be due to the armature reaction. First discuss the armature resistance. So armature resistance will lead to a drop, that is the product of armature current into armature resistance, and it will be in phase with the armature current. So it is practically negligible. So we can neglect the loss due to armature resistance because it is negligible. Second loss is due to the leakage reactance. Now generally we know that the flux has to set up by the armature current and it do not cross the air gap but take different path. That is known as the leakage flux. In case of a transformer, the flux has to set up in the core. Now here the flux is basically setting up in the air gap. So if the flux is not setting up in the air gap, rather taking a different path, then that is known as the leakage flux. The leakage flux is independent of saturation but dependent on the armature current. So leakage flux do not saturate, but it will obviously depend on the armature current. Leakage flux will set up its own reactance EMF, which is ahead of armature current by 90 degree. So basically there is a 90-degree phase difference between the current and the EMF, that is the voltage, which is set up by the leakage flux. And the third type of drop is due to the armature reaction. We have discussed in detail about the armature reaction in case of a DC machine, that the armature reaction is basically the effect of the main flux over the armature flux. So here we can see that the phasor diagram where the voltage is taken as the reference, and considering that it is a lagging power factor condition with the factor phi, so IRA is basically the drop due to armature resistance, whereas IXL is due to the drop due to leakage reactance. Now there is a drop which is due to the armature reactance XA. So XS, the synchronous reactance, is the sum of the leakage reactance plus the armature reactance, and the vector sum of the armature resistance and the synchronous reactance give you the synchronous impedance. So that we are going to see. So first we will discuss the armature reaction. So we know that armature reaction take place due to the effect of the main flux and the armature flux. So in DC machine we do not have the problem of power factor. So here power factor of the load will have a considerable effect on the armature reaction. So we have to incorporate the value of cos phi in the armature reaction, which was not there in case of DC machine. So combined MMF wave is sinusoidal, which will move synchronously fixed relative to the poles. So the MMF wave has to be sinusoidal and it will move synchronously, that is at a speed ns, and it is fixed relative to the poles. Now the amplitude of the MMF is proportional to the load current, and the position will depends on the power factor of the load. So power factor of the load will decide the position of the MMF wave. Now we have taken different power factor condition. One is unity power factor, zero power factor lagging, zero power factor leading, and intermediate lagging power factor. When the power factor is unity, it means the voltage and current are in phase with each other. The effect of armature reaction is distortionless. So there is no effect of armature reaction under the condition that it is a unity power factor. Whereas for a zero power factor condition, the effect of armature reaction is demagnetizing, and hence less EMF will be produced at the terminal. Field excitation needs to be increased to compensate the weakening phenomena of the armature reaction. So obviously the field has to increase because the EMF has fall down due to the demagnetizing component of the armature reaction. Whereas if the power factor is zero power factor leading condition, it will produce a magnetizing condition and EMF will be more as usual. So field excitation phi has to be reduced. It is opposite to zero power factor lagging condition. Whereas in the intermediate condition, which is lagging in nature, partly distortion and partly demagnetizing. So lagging power factor condition will give you distortion, that is the demagnetizing effect, plus the magnetizing effect. So here the different condition of unity power factor, zero power factor lagging, zero power factor leading and lagging conditions are being shown. So generally the alternator is operating at the lagging power factor condition, which is intermediate. So it will have an effect of the sum of demagnetizing and the magnetizing component of the armature reaction. So we have seen in the vector diagram that the synchronous reactance is basically the sum of the leakage reactance and the armature reactance. Whereas the armature reactance, the ohmic value is varying with the power factor of the load, because armature reaction depends on the load power factor. So when the load power factor changes, armature reaction changes. So this change the value of XA, that is the armature reactance. So it means the synchronous impedance of the machine, which is the vector sum of the armature resistance and the synchronous reactance, basically depend on the armature reaction, because the value of XA will change when there is a change in the power factor of the load condition. So for a different loading condition, we can see how the effect of EMF will be there due to the presence of the armature resistance drop, leakage drop, reactance drop, which is the sum of the leakage plus XA is the synchronous reactance, and IZS will give you the synchronous impedance. So this is for the UPF condition, this is for the lagging condition, and this is for the leading condition. So we can draw the vector diagram for the induced EMF under the different condition where we have the voltage drop due to the different losses due to the synchronous reactance, due to the armature resistance, and due to the values of the leakage reactance. So this completes the discussion on the alternator on load, where armature reaction plays a very important role because it affects the armature reactance. So thank you for now and see you in the next lecture.